Hey guys, if you followed the channel for any length of time, you know I have mentioned a number of times my love of cars came from my dad and my uncles, and their hot rods, their drag cars, and then me spanning out into the stock car end on my own. But my love of cars came from them, and I give them credit for that. And I've been around a lot of hot rods growing up and drag cars. And recently, one of my uncles, we lost to cancer, and we had his celebration of life last Saturday. And Charles Gary Barton, known to the family and most everybody as Bub or Bubba, I can't tell you what an inspiration throughout the years, including, and I'll get to it a little later, one of my in progress builds right now was partially inspired by him. Loved drag racing, loved hot rods, and even to the very end was driving. You're not going to believe what he was driving, and is in his garage to this day. But from early on, Uncle Bub was a car lover and a hot rod guy. Of course, his dad, my mom's dad, was a body shop guy. And, of course, he took a lot of that, too. And as I said, even through the years, he had a lot of fun. And I want to pay tribute in this video to my Uncle Bub, who I love very much, and I know he loved us. And as Christians, I'm grateful and thankful to know that I will see him again because of his profession of faith in Christ. So I want to show you, there's no way I can show you every car that he ever owned or did, but I want to share with you one of his photo albums that my cousin, his oldest son Alan, put together for him a few years back. So this is by no means all of the cars, not by any stretch of the means, but I want to share with you some that I remember that have been inspiration to me. Early on, as you see here, there's his 68 Firebird. That thing was really quick too. That was something. In late 1969, he bought, I think they said the first or second Firebird Trans Am, 1970 Trans Am in the state of South Carolina. As I understand it, there was the blue one with a white stripe and the white one with a blue stripe that came in, and he jumped on the white one. And I remember riding in that thing, and I remember even at an early age, that thing scared me to death. But it was so fun. It was so fun. And when MPC came out with that kit, of course, I had to have one. Something else he had in through the mid-70s up to about 80 was this Austin Healey. And yes, that's a tunnel ram with two 4s sticking out of the hood. It had a small block Chevy, and he repainted it, as you can see. That's my cousin Alan standing up in it. But this thing was just, check that interior out. And there it is with the top up with my aunt behind the wheel. His wife, and by the way, he and Cheryl were married for well over 50 years, and just had a grand time. He also had a great love for GTOs. I think I shared with you, he had a 64 drag car that was, no, excuse me, a 65 drag car that was a C-gasser. Had the velocity stack sticking out the hood and all that stuff. I'll dig those pictures up and get those to you too later, but these are some I remember. But you can see some of his paint work there too on this one. Love those things. And then in 1977, brand new, he picked up this orange piece of art Liked Corvettes too, and you'll see that here coming up. Another shot of the vet. Now this picture is of my cousin Al. I think he must have been going to prom, but you notice Uncle Bub's 71 Roadrunner sitting or beside Alan there, the orange. And a few other things that he built over the years, over the many years, up until not too many years ago, I could go over there and walk out in his shop and you never knew what he was building. And he built a lot of these things, frames. He would Z frames. He would build up stuff like this about all the time. And he would drive them for a while, sell them, or trade them for something else. But he loved to build them. Check out that white tuck and rolled interior. Just cool stuff. My other cousin, just sitting back chilling. He also had over the years a number of cars that were just showroom stock kind of hot rods. He would do them about any way you could think of, but you see here this Falcon. And by the way, beside that Falcon there, you see in the background that red 65 Mercury Comet. That was the first car I ever owned. And that's what's sitting over there in the background is my 65 Comet. Another look at his Falcons, or Falcon. Actually, he had several Falcons, and I'll show you those. Another Monte Carlo that he had, and he had some old ones and this one, and you notice the cowl induction hood. This was a little hot rod too. And another look at one of his paint jobs. This one he picked up, I think this was at the drag strip, and you see the state of the body as far as the paint goes. And he picked that one up, and you see what it looks like there after a paint job and a little bit of rodding up and new wheels and tires. Another one he picked up kind of caught me off guard because he was always an American muscle guy, but check out this. I know he had this for a while too, but this 280Z Turbo, and this thing was pretty evilly fast as well. And you can see how he's got that buffed out. He repainted that one too. Just a quick little car. He also had, I didn't think to pull the picture of my 70 Mustang that I sold to him, my 70 Mustang convertible, and show you what he did with it. But I'll pull those up and share those another time. And here's another of his Corvettes. That you can see is kind of rough before he started on it. And of course he redid the interior upholstery. You can see he's added the disc brakes up front. Fresh paint job. You see him in the background there buffing the headlight, the hideaway headlight covers. And of course the finished paint job. Really cool, huh? Then we get into some of the drag cars. This is a few that my cousin Alan took. I remember the car. I don't remember it ever being any other color, even when it was out, other than the dark gray primer. And you see here with the slicks underneath. He could come up with some awesome cars. Love it, love it. This next one is a 4-door family car. He had a knack for being able to find cars. I told him, for example, with my 65 Mercury, I was missing a spindle, and all I could find was a 4-lug, and I needed a 5-lug. And it wasn't long, a phone call or two, and boom, he found one. Just that quick. And he just had a knack for knowing people who knew people who knew people. And when he ran across this, I don't know where he got it, any of that stuff, but this is a 4-door. I want to say Anglia. It might have been a Thames. And you can see the body work and the scuff down and all of that stuff is pretty much done. But talk about a family car. Check that out. He brought it out of the paint booth, and there he is spraying it down. And that maroon, it just beautiful, beautiful. But a 4-door. Just wow. I remember these cars, and that's what I'm trying to kind of highlight, guys, is he was just so versatile on all these things, whether it was Mopar, Ford. He was a Pontiac man early on, and it just, but these things were something. And this, when he got this, it was pretty much close to being a stock 55, and you see here, there's the chassis, the stock chassis, and one of the front clips that's still on that. But he was going to make this into Pro Street, so he built out a chassis, and you see up front here, he moved back part of the firewall and enlarged the transmission hump. And here you start to see the Pro Street version. I don't even think the engine's in it yet. But this had a big block. And there's a look. You get to see some of the metal work where he built the chassis. And of course, there's the tubs in the rear end back there. And those massive monster tires. Another look. Sorry about the light on these things, but some of these, I think my cousin Al took, or Jeff, one of the two of them took these. Some of them, I took a few of them I've seen. And Bub may have taken a few. Another look at the 55. Now here you see there's a couple of Falcon Sprints. These are parts cars here. He had a third one too that he raced and ran on the street. That was an orange with white stripes. I can't find the pictures of that one. Alan's going to look those up for me, and I'll share with those in another video. I have an idea for something on those, but he raced those things. Now here's the orange and white one after he had run it for a while. It was Pro Street, as you can see down the tires down below, and you notice how he enlarged the fender wells. Now, right here, he was in the middle of converting this from Pro Street to Pro Mod. So this had a lot going on here. You notice the roof where it's been chopped and channeled. It's been dropped a little bit, and also you'll see in this video, or in this one, the stance that it has, and he was dropping it even lower. And as you see here, there's the wheel tubs that actually come up through the body. So this thing was going to be definitely in the weeds, so sitting very, very, very low. And this is the way it sits today in the back side of his corner of his shop. And my cousin Jeff's drag car is sitting beside it, which is his youngest son. Jeff has an 81 Buick Regal with an evil fast 409 in it. And I'll show you other family pictures later, but I want to show you some of Bub's handiwork. And but this thing, as you can see, it's just big bad. This next one is very, very unique in that a lot of people think, when you think of Cannonball Run, you think of the movie, but a lot of people don't know that the Cannonball Run, it's a real thing. In fact, I'm thinking about doing a challenge on that for later. The last record on the Cannonball Run was in 2020, and it was from New York, from that garage in New York to just outside of Los Angeles, and it was like, I think the record set in 2020 was like 25 minutes and some change. The average speed was like 110 miles an hour with just a very few stops and a trio of drivers. But look it up, Wikipedia or whatever, look it up and check out the Cannonball race. But this car was built for the Cannonball race. You see the fiberglass front end, and here you see kind of the front clip, and I'm going to show you a close-up of this front clip. This was cool. That is a Laughlin NASCAR chassis that this 57 Chevy sits on. But he was building this for a guy that was going to be running in the Cannonball race. And I think this was in right around 2000. And here you see the stance. Another look at it from front and back. And here it is on the trailer. He's about to go deliver it. And, oh, here's one of his T-Bucket scratch-built chassis. He loved T-Buckets, and he had no problem building those things. Here he is working on a Mustang to be painted. I think this was a friend of his car. And even up to the last years, I think until the 90s, he still drag raced. Loved to drag race. And this was his last racer. There was several things that I always have to remember him for. Is we could be somewhere and you could hear somebody burning rubber off in the distance, or a loud mufflers or something, and he'd always grin and say, "Hot rod." And this is not a drag car, it's a racer. So it was a racer. But this thing was evilly fast. It had a mountain motor in it. It was just, woo. He went up to Rockingham Dragway and actually showed out. Well, about anywhere this thing went, it showed out. But it really did well up there in Rockingham. And you see what he's racing against here. You see the altered car over in the other lane. But, whoa. This thing was just an evilly fast little car with that mountain motor in it. Here he is in one of his favorite places, strolling through the pits. I can't tell if that was Greer or I don't remember where. Growing up, I went to every Friday or Saturday night to Ware Shoals drag strip or to Greer drag strip, and would help him load, unload, fuel, whatever he needed, I'd grab for him. And here he is. I know that's at Greer, matched up against a Camaro there. But my Uncle Bub was an enormous inspiration to me in a lot of ways. And you know, I'm talking about cars right now. But he was a friend. He was helpful. If I needed something, he was there to help. He was a loving guy. Just, I can't say enough about him. I can't tell you how much he's going to be missed, because it was always fun to go, even though I live in another county now I go over there and could go in, pull in the driveway, and I would, before I'd knock at the door, oftentimes I would walk to the back and look in the garage to see what was in there. But what a guy. Uncle Bub, I love you and I miss you, man. And in the last few years, he and my precious Aunt Cheryl would go down to downtown Greenville, South Carolina, his hometown, and they would take walks up and down Main Street. Beautiful city, by the way. I policed there for many years, and they take a stroll all up and down and around downtown, and they had their favorite little coffee spot right in front of the Poinsett Hotel, and they had a lot of friends there. In fact, at the funeral, there were a number of people that were from the coffee shop, as well as friends that they met down there. and just had a big time. And he used to go downtown. They were in a Mercedes 500 SL convertible that had a mirror black finish. He loved black, if you couldn't tell. Black finish on it, and in his driveway to this day, as I said, or in his garage, is this Dodge Challenger. But this is not just any Dodge Challenger. It's a Hellcat. Man, he loved his hot rods. You see him here with it. And of course, it had a Hemi. That's that SRT. The last two times that we met at Olive Garden and at Capri's Italian, another one of his favorites there, he was driving this Hellcat. And here are some of his friends from the coffee shop down on Main Street in Greenville. And here he is putting a little decoration in a friend's pickup truck. And you can see him mounting that on the dash, and that is a hula girl. And one of the last things my cousin Alan, his oldest son, they did was they went down, and I don't know if he would have ever traded that Hellcat, but they were giving a serious look over to the brand new Corvettes. And you see him here standing beside that one, giving it a look. Charles Gary Barton, my Uncle Bub, a great inspiration to me as far as the cars go, a great friend. I actually do not have any other words, guys. Again, Uncle Bub, I love you. We miss you. We're looking after Cheryl, and love her too. But I wanted to share that with you guys. One of the things that gave me my tremendous love for automobiles that I transferred over to the models and just Uncle Bub, you the man. Well, guys, thank you so much for bearing with me as I remember somebody that meant so very much to me, and his love of cars that has just been part of our family. So I appreciate you watching and tagging along, and guys, I love you too. I appreciate you. If you're not a subscriber, be sure you head over and show us some love, give us a sub, and we appreciate it more than you know. Thanks, guys. God bless you, and I will see you in the next video.